Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
A lot of things can happen at sea: pirates, mutiny, murder, and bad weather, not to mention potential alien abductions, clashes with sea monsters, and the mysterious workings of the Bermuda Triangle. So perhaps it's no wonder why so many ships have turned up without their crew or passengers. But where's the evidence of a struggle? From an unmanned ghost ship that's been reportedly spotted off the Alaskan coast, to an apparent British crew kidnapping by a German submarine during World War I. These 10 abandoned vessels all share one thing: strange and seemingly unexplainable secrets. Number 10. Mary Celeste. When it comes to describing the discovery of the apparently abandoned Mary Celeste in 1872, words like spooky and unsettling simply don't cut it. This brigantine merchant ship was found in the Atlantic Ocean with its cargo and valuables completely untouched, packed with 6 months worth of food and water, but not hide nor hair of a single passenger or crew member. Though its contents were wet, and it was a bit worse for wear, the ship was still seaworthy after being out for just a month. The fact that all the reasonable explanations, from storms to piracy, seemed to have been ruled out spurred more outrageous theories of alien abductions or sea monster attacks. Today, the fate of the Mary Celeste remains one of history's most famous and puzzling maritime mysteries, but this is far from the only story of its kind. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for you that'll take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You just leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and you will get 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. Number 9. Carol A. Deering. Was it a mutiny, piracy, communists, or a bizarre supernatural experience in the Bermuda Triangle that robbed the Carol A. Deering of her crew? This 5-masted commercial schooner was on its way back from delivering a load of coal from Virginia to Rio, and during a supply stop in Barbados, the first mate was arrested for making threats against the supposedly interfering and not-so-sharp-eyed captain, but was released on bail and forgiven before the ship moved on towards its destination of Norfolk, in Virginia. The ship was spotted when it hailed the Cape Lookout lightship in North Carolina, and a man with a foreign accent on board told the lightship's keeper that the vessel had lost its anchors. But the next time it was seen was when it ran aground in Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. The crew, their belongings, and their lifeboats were all missing. The crew was never located, and the US government has never come up with an official explanation, though they did consider foul play by rum runners or communist pirates set on capturing American ships. Today, conspiracy theorists often use the Deering as an example of the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle, despite the fact that the ship was far away from it by the time the crew disappeared. Number 8. Bellamica. When a classic-style schooner, unlike any seen in Italy before, was found off the coast of the island of Sardinia with no crew on board, it seemed like a repeat of the Mary Celeste. But this is no seemingly mythical tale from ages past. Spotted by the Italian Coast Guard in 2006, this ghost ship contained a half-eaten meal of Egyptian food, French maps of North African seas, a pile of clothes, a flag of Luxembourg, and a wooden plaque bearing the name Bellamica. Italian authorities found that the ship had never been registered in any country. Because the ship was misidentified as an antique in the press, a tsunami of public interest surrounded the case, but it was soon revealed to be a modern yacht belonging to a Luxembourg man, who likely didn't register it for tax evasion purposes. Number 7. High Aim 6. Murder, mutiny, and rotting fish. The story of the High Aim 6 is a strange one. This Taiwanese ship was found drifting in Australian waters without its crew in 2003, though plenty of fuel and provisions remained on board, along with the crew's personal belongings and a hold full of stinky seafood. A forensic examination could find no sign of a struggle, and a search of 7,300 nautical miles turned up no clues. But 10 days after the ship was discovered, calls were still being made from Indonesia on the cell phones of the ship's missing engineer. The only crew member ever tracked down claimed that the captain and engineer were murdered, and the crew headed back to their homes, but no reason was ever given. Number 6. Giansang. A lot of illegal activity goes on in the world's oceans, from illegal fishing to human trafficking. So when mysterious ships of unknown origin turn up, they're automatically suspicious. The Giansang is just one such ship, spotted drifting into uncharted waters near Queensland, Australia in 2006. But once Australian customs officials boarded the ship, they couldn't find evidence of recent human activity at all. In fact, the ship had been stripped, with its name and identifying features painted over, and contained nothing but a large amount of rice. Ultimately, since no owner could be found, the ship was intentionally sunken. Number 5. MV Joyita. The MV Joyita may have been an unsinkable ship, but she wasn't immune to other problems. With 25 passengers and crew on board, the Joyita disappeared in the South Pacific in 1955. 5 weeks after the ship was reported overdue, it was spotted off course, partially submerged, and missing 4 tons of cargo, including medical supplies, timber, food, and empty oil drums. The radio was tuned to the International Marine Distress Channel. The lifeboats were gone, and blood-stained bandages were found. Some believe that the captain was injured or killed, and that the passengers and crew felt like they had no choice but to abandon the ship. But that still doesn't explain the missing cargo. Number 4. Kaz 2. On April 15, 2007, 3 men set out on a journey along the coast of Australia, and 3 days later, their ship turned up drifting towards the Great Barrier Reef with everything perfectly in place. Everything, that is, except for the men themselves, who were missing. Food was set out on the table, a laptop was open and still turned on. All of the boat's emergency systems were fully functional, and life jackets hung neatly on their hooks. Since the seas were choppy, and none of the men were wearing a life jacket, it has been hypothesized that one of the men fell overboard and the others perished trying to save him. Number 3. Zebrina. Yet another ship found without its crew was the Zebrina, a 3-masted sailing barge that left a port in southern England in October 1917, with a cargo hold full of coal bound for St. Brieuc, France. When the ship was found in France, aground and abandoned but in good shape 2 days later, it seemed that some kind of conflict related to World War I was to blame, like perhaps the threat of gunfire from a German submarine like the one pictured above. Did the U-boat that threatened the Zebrina force the crew on board and then retreat when it spotted an Allied ship nearby? Perhaps. Some people believe that this hypothetical submarine was later sunken itself, hence the fact that the Zebrina's crew were never seen again. Number 2. Schooner Jenny. May 4th, 1823. No food for 71 days. I am the only one left alive. The captain who wrote this message was still sitting in a chair with a pen in his hand when this message was found in his logbook a full 17 years later. His body and those of the other 6 people on board the British schooner Jenny had been preserved by the frigid Antarctic weather which had ensnared the ship in ice and led to their deaths. The crew of the whaling ship that discovered Schooner Jenny long after the disaster occurred buried the passengers, including a dog, at sea. Number 1. Beichimo. Used to trade pelts for provisions in Inuit settlements along the north coast of Canada, the SS Beichimo was no stranger to harsh conditions. This 230-foot cargo steamer had just been freed from pack ice a week earlier when it got stuck even worse on October 8, 1931, leading over half of its crew to abandon it, while 15 remained to wait out the winter nearby in a wooden shelter that they had built. When a blizzard struck on November 24th, the ship was later found to be missing and assumed sunken, but it turned up 3 days later, 45 miles away. The crew gathered up the cargo and abandoned the ship, believing it wouldn't survive the winter, but once again, it did not sink. Over the next several decades, sightings of the Beichimo were reported all over the coast, and some people even boarded the ship. It was last seen stuck in ice off the Alaskan coast in 1969. Did it finally sink? Maybe. Or maybe it will turn up once again. But with that being said, we've come to the end of this video. So which one of these abandoned ships is most worthy of a Hollywood horror movie? Let us know in the comment section down below. Want more videos that'll exist until the very end of time? Click on any of the videos that you see on the screen. And as always, thanks for watching.